super vulgar dialogue. That's the show, and I recommend that. And it's funny watching it now to see like how bad and how despicable most of these people are on the show, and then to realize that the Trump administration put all these guys to shame. Like this, you can't do this show anymore because everything that happened during the Trump years is just so much more ridiculous and inept and mean-spirited that this show, if it was going to be one of the shows to come back, like have the revival like a lot of older shows are, I don't think this would work anymore because what would happen on the show wouldn't be as crazy as what has happened in real life over the last 4 years.
Where's Veep available on again?
Veep should be on HBO Max.
Oh, okay.
That's another show that's got just a stellar supporting cast. That all have their moment to shine in each episode. And another one that I just started to rewatch now that I'm done with Veep is Arrested Development, which I was always a big fan of. That was one of that's one of the great cult sitcoms of all time, and has a ton of gags and cutaways. Another stellar supporting cast, especially Jessica Walter, who plays the matriarch of this family, who is just such a despicable person, and all of her dialogue is just so mean and out of touch. She has one of my favorite lines of all time, which I think is in the pilot episode, which is, "I'd rather be dead in California than alive in Arizona." But that's the show I highly recommend. They had 3 seasons, like low-rated seasons on Fox back in the early 2000s. And then, because it was such a cult hit, they did a revival of it a couple maybe 7-8 years ago. That was pretty good. It wasn't as great. A big problem was all those people would kind of had to shoot all their scenes separately because they were all much bigger now and doing other things. So there's not a lot of interaction among the cast members. And then I think they just had another season not too long ago. I might watch it, I might not. I'm really after like those first 3 seasons. But it's a really funny show. It's got Ron Howard is the narrator, the third person narrator that narrates the show. And it's all, like I said, it's got a ton of gags and cutaways. And at the end of every episode, there's always like a fake preview for the next episode. Even though what they show, like on the next, what they say is coming on the next episode never really does. It's always, that's the gag to end each show, is to say next time on Arrested Development. And it just has a couple more jokes before, the show actually ends. But I highly recommend that. I just started rewatching it earlier, I think just over the weekend. So I'm maybe 10 episodes into it. Loving it. Missed that show. So I'll recommend that one. So you got anything else?
Shows-wise, I wanted to give a shout-out to Soulmates, a relatively new show that's on the AMC, the new AMC Plus app. I think it's like original content for them. It's basically an anthology series, or I hope they get renewed, where each episode it's based in the near future, where they've developed a science to find your soulmate. So say you sign up into this program, and then you can track to see where your supposed soulmate is. And they could live in another country. It could be anyone. And even the trick is that if they haven't signed up for the program or whatever, it'll just say this person, your soulmate, hasn't made their profile yet or whatever. And so I know it sounds really weird, but since each episode is basically a short story, they get into some really dark territory, and they use that as like the jumping off point, as the soulmate thing. But then you have like crime and all these things that are going on. It's all interwoven into this universe where this thing exists, which is pretty scary, because then it's like, well, what about the people that were in relationships prior to this? And then, now they have all these new couples, and they start questioning their own marriages and stuff like that. Does that a good pitch?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember seeing some trailers for it, or some commercials for it.
Very, very crazy, diverse cast. You'll jump into one episode, and then the next episode is completely different, and very unpredictable stuff, at least I thought so. Yeah, very interesting. Soulmates on AMC Plus. I've been talking that app up lately since I got it more recently.
You said they got a lot of like their movies, when especially like during October, when they play a lot of horror movies. Yeah.
So they have, I guess they own a bunch of stuff. So AMC has, when you get the AMC Plus, you automatically get everything on Shudder, everything IFC, everything BBC, and then everything Sundance does as well. So tons of tiers of stuff to kind of siphon through, if you're, granted you're a fan of any of that. So I got two more movies that I wanted to give a shout out to.
Sure.
The first one is Unpregnant. Have you seen it yet?
No, you recommended it to me. It was on HBO Max, and I remember seeing that trailer.
Yeah, I think it's one of the very first Max originals, I think. It's high at an 89 on Rotten. And I really loved, although Haley Lou Richardson was really good as the lead, I thought Barbie Ferreira killed her role, was just super charming in this. Obviously, I don't know if you've seen Euphoria yet, but she was made famous by Euphoria. And this is something else, basically her follow-up, and I thought she was so good in it.
She's the friend that's helping her?
Okay. So basically the story is about this teenager in contemporary times accidentally gets pregnant, but they live in Missouri, where abortion isn't legal. So she ends up having to plan a road trip in a specific time frame to New Mexico, where she can get the procedure done without her, family consent or whatever. And she doesn't have a way to, she's going to end up spending all her savings on, on a, was it like a bus ride or whatever? So then she ends up asking her Bailey, who is her childhood friend. They're no longer friends now. It's the kind of classic, like, oh, I'm too cool for you. But now that I need something, I'm going to reach out to you, and so you can help me. So she kind of recruits Bailey, who is Barbie Ferreira's character, to be, to take her, to drive her to New Mexico for this procedure. Meanwhile, Veronica, who is the lead, her boyfriend is kind of not on board with the whole, her getting rid of the pregnancy, and is kind of turned into a bit of a stalker. But this is such a fun movie. I think I've watched this 3 or 4 times, which is probably the most I've rewatched anything that we've talked about today. So that should say something. But it's very, very charming, hilarious film, and it deals with real world problems, which I can appreciate. On
a kind of similar note, have you ever seen Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always?
I don't think so.
It pretty much deals with the exact same thing and the exact same situation. Only it's a drama. Where a girl, I think she was from Pennsylvania, and couldn't get one without her parents knowing. So her and her cousin traveled to New York City to do it.
Oh, okay.
But like I said, that's more of a drama. It was very, very good, though.
I have to check that out. Is that available anywhere that you know of?
Yeah, I just watched that on like HBO or Cinemax, so it should be on. You might want to check HBO Max.
Oh, okay, cool.
Maybe Prime. See if it's on Amazon Prime. I just watched that maybe 6 weeks ago.
Okay.
So I would recommend that one.
Nice. A counter.
As a counter, but dealing with the same subject matter and the same type of situation.
Awesome. And then my final film of the night that I wanted to make sure to talk about is The Sound of Metal on Prime.
Oh yeah, I was thinking about you when I saw that trailer. Yeah, I was thinking, that's something that I think Wesley would really dig.
Yeah, you're not.
And Riz Ahmed is someone I don't think really gets his due either. For always being great in a lot of different stuff. I wish that guy would blow up bigger.
Yeah, man. I mean, everything that I've seen him in, I thought he was really good. Even if the film was problematic, you know, he's still so good, and he's really good in that. Was that HBO Limited series as well?
The Night of, yeah, another fantastic miniseries.
Co-stars Olivia Cook, who was she's pretty good in the stuff that I've seen her in as well. This one just premiered on Prime. It sits high at a 97, if you could believe that, on Rotten. It's about a drummer who starts to rapidly lose his hearing, and how basically he's forced to adapt to this whole new world, you know, and he, for a while there, he loses everything, you know. His band has to stop. He's in a two-piece with Olivia Cook's character. I think they're together as well. But man, Riz Ahmed, he just he has, like, at least in this role, he's like a super live wire hothead, and at the same time you really feel for him, you know. And as a subculturist myself, I just really related to this, you know, going to shows and listening to heavy music. This is a huge fear, you know, for a lot of people, or a lot of people end up going through this, maybe not so early in life like this movie, but it does happen on down the line, or it can happen, you know. What's it called? What's the term called for the ringing?
Tinnitus?
Yeah,
tinnitus,
when that's you know, that never goes away. Scary stuff.
Yeah.
I thought they handled this film really well, you know, and it definitely rests on Riz's performance and how he adapts, and, you know, I just fell in love with this movie. It's probably one of my favorites that I've seen. That's a really new film, you know what I mean? Yeah.
That's cool, man. I'm gonna check that out. Like I said, I'm a really big fan of Riz Ahmed and what he's done so far. And also, like, when you start going to shows again, just be careful. I always try to position myself in an area where I'm not standing next to the speaker, or there's not one blasting right above my head, depending on the venue.
Yeah, well, you know, because I do the podcast and I'm a musician myself, I'm try to preserve my hearing as much as I can, especially with some of the different bands that I go see. You definitely need. I try to bring earplugs with me all the time.
Yeah, and dude, and no shame in bringing them either.
Yeah, I've had a few friends, they like laugh at me. It's almost like a tough guy thing. Like, well, I'm not going to fucking wear earplugs. But then it's like, yeah, but dude, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.